if I'm in the awareness stage or the decision stage or even the consideration stage, if I feel like they're not talking to me and they're not talking to me when I'm in the right stage, it's a little bit off-putting.
Totally.
So I think it's all just about knowing your customer, mapping it out, and making sure you're putting them and their needs first.
I'm Chloe. I'm a marketing designer.
I'm Sophie and I'm a digital marketer.
I'm Tristan and I am a brand marketing specialist and I'm just here.
Welcome to our coffee chats that transcended into a real podcast. It's Click and Scroll, the podcast. What I've noticed is there are a lot of creators out there who are good at wording things, but not good with spelling and grammar. And this apostrophe thing, for example, I see it all the time. So, for example, this was specialists, like multiple specialists, but it had T''S. That hurts.
It's a personal attack. It's a safe space. It's okay. You can feel
it does hurt you, yeah. Like to the extent where I made a little training video on this for my company at one stage.
Right. Okay. Is that like grammar? This is our grammar Bible.
Yeah, like spelling and grammar forbids. Yeah. And I just feel like when you say these things out loud, you do sometimes sound a bit like a wanker, and I'm very willing to be told chill. But what is the standard with quality and content marketing? And I look to you, Tris, first, because you're very much, strong in content marketing. You came up with the name for this podcast, our bio, everything. And it seems to just flow for you, but you don't want someone to write stuff that sounds robotic but have it all perfect with English and grammar. But you do want it to be polished, right?
Yes.
And I see websites as well all the time that are just mistake written.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Look, my hot take on it is everything's got to be with your voice. It's got to be your personality, especially because so many brands are based on your personality. I mean, if we look at founders and startups, how many of the startup brands have got the innovation or values or personality of the person that founded it to begin with? So yeah, that's important. Being authentic and entertaining so you don't sound robotic, as you were saying. But having something like ChatGPT or Claude or any form of AI really just to do like a little bit of being an editor for you. Think of it in the sense of like you don't need it to create stuff for you, but it can be your editor, like your little buddy to help you do stuff. But I have a very controversial lens for looking at grammar.
We love that, don't we?
Yeah.
Am I scared right now?
I'm gonna rustle some feathers. Yeah, sit down. Yeah, buckle up. Please keep your arms and your limbs in the right at all times because this is gonna get bumpy.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Yeah, like make mistakes. It's cool. It's cool to make mistakes, but I can't prove it.
Yeah.
But I reckon, and I've known the tactics. I know people that have done this, and I have experimented with it. We won't get into that, but making some like intentional mistakes within your copy and stuff like that, because it's so obvious. It pulls your eye in. Like it's attention grabbing.
Does it look more authentic? Is that why?
Well, I don't know if it's more authentic, but it's an obvious mistake. Like you can point it out so quickly. Like that is unusual. It's not like specialist. You would expect to see the correct spelling for it, but that apostrophe is like, that is really bothering me.
Yeah.
But now that is in your mind. That is so locked in. That is a form of catching attention.
Interesting.
No
But
different.
do you want attention for those reasons?
Yeah,
You
that's
want
the catch,
engagement,
yeah.
so
Yeah,
that's
engagement.
the easiest way to get any engagement.
Probably depends, right, on what type of content. Hey, because if we're saying, okay, this is a digital ad, that could work.
Exactly.
If it's a shopping ad and no one associates the correctness of spelling with the quality of the clothing, right?
Yeah.
But let's say it's a professional services ad. Let's say it's a law firm. I don't know about you guys, but I expect lawyers to be bang on with, spelling and grammar. And I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think things have changed a lot. I don't think people are as hung up on these things as I am. That's why I want to talk about it. It's like therapy, really. But I want to understand how this is shifting.
Well, you're competing with two things. You're competing with offshore work and you're competing with AI.
Yeah.
So no wonder you're riled up.
Yeah.
True.
And that's the other thing. I mean, when we talk about AI, I feel like, and I think we all know this by now, but if it's used incorrectly, it's diminishing the quality. Like
Absolutely, yeah.
the M dashes, the Zs, just the tone, when it's AI.
Yeah.
and it's just how to use it. So, I mean, I think you're very right. I think you probably would do the same, right? Like you would use it to edit things. You wouldn't sort of use it from inception to create something.
Try not to use AI too much. I use when I have to, but I still like to use a bit of my brain. I've noticed there are times when I go, oh, do I just put this in chat? And I'm like, no, just use my own brain. I can do it. I can do it. So it's such a basic thing. So just try not to. I think there's an over-reliance on it, and it's just changing the way that we're solving problems.
Yeah.
Because now we have this machine that has all this information. Yeah. But our brains are the most powerful machines.
Yeah, especially when it comes to that creativity. Look, I know that I used to write a lot of content, and now I find that ChatGPT gives me so much more time back in my day if I use it to help me write content. And it's so easy to get into that mode of falling back on it. But then I never feel that the quality is as good as if I was to write it myself.
On that.
It's hard, isn't it? Because you feel like, okay, this is the standard now, is that so many people, if not almost everybody, is using ChatGPT to some capacity and other AI tools to get more time in their day to focus on other things. And then if I don't use it, I'm then at a disadvantage because I can't do as many things as they can. So my clients get as much value out of me. So it's, unless you're an absolute whiz at just pumping out content like True Sophie here, like writing things quickly, it's challenging because you're trying to keep up with everyone else who's using these tools. But you want to keep the quality up and stand apart.
It's a bit of a balancing act.
That's balancing.
I guess it all comes down to like how you leverage it. Personally, the way I treat AI is I treat it as a super excited, energetic intern.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't expect a junior intern in a company to know everything and have all the answers to stuff. Yeah. But it's excited and wants to do a good job for you. So you can always delegate it or offload some of the stuff on your plate that doesn't need your absolute priority for it to assist you with. But still remembering it's an intern. So you gotta like make sure it's up to standard with what you want. And you can do that yourself. Like it can just assist you with those little things. But yeah, I also try and make sure to treat my AI really well just in case Skynet ever happens, you know.
True that. Oh my gosh. So like you guys, like if you see a website and you see a number of spelling mistakes, like or grammar mistakes, things that just, you know, full stops missing or not belonging where they are, how much does this deter you from the web? Like, do you look at that and go, these guys don't know what they're doing or they're
unfortunately from a designer's perspective, if the design isn't great, I've already lost the trust in the entire website and brand. So it's even on another level being a designer. I'm not even just focused on the copy, it's the whole look of the website.
That's interesting because you would look at it like that for sure. Whereas I hone in on like the written content and I'm the same. But then I'm wondering, like, am I a bit old school? Like, would you look at a website, notice some mistakes and go, oh, these guys don't know what they're doing, even though the spelling may be completely irrelevant to what they sell?
I think there's a difference between like making an honest mistake and then, that does give me a little bit of I've lost some trust in it, especially if it's something like, I don't know, really important, like lawyers, contracts or anything else. Like it depends also on what it is.
Great.
But, you know, sometimes with things like, there's ways that you can do it really well intentionally. Like, for example, my favorite example is Specsavers. When you're landing like Brisbane, it's like welcome to Melbourne, you know, kind of something like that. And it's not a spelling mistake, but it's like it's a form of an intentional thing that is a hook grabber, and that works well. But
yeah, true.
Like Christine was saying with, you know, you're looking at design and stuff. If it doesn't look good, you lose trust in it. It would be like same as a podcast. If it's bad audio, you don't want to listen to it, and you lose trust.
There's a lot of deal breakers.
Yeah, what would be deal breakers for you, like aesthetic-wise? I'm really interested because I know...
For a website?
Yeah, like, I mean, alignment, for example, but like, what would you say are deal breakers?
From websites, broken links, how the navigation works, so the sitemap and the site structure, so the frameworks of the website, the overall look and feel. So is it a modern-looking website? Does it look like it's been refreshed in the last few years? Or if it was an older design, like say Stripe, that's existed for years and it's still around and designers still copy that style now. So that's really lasted the test of time.
So like this is really interesting to me because, you know, when you're talking about like the content on the sites and you look at blogs and things like that, like I would say that coming from the lens of someone who looks at that written stuff, that if I looked at a blog and it just looked like it was very SEO-y. I think I would pick up on that pretty quickly, just because I'm a digital marketer, and I would go, seems tacky. Or like, for example, very cliche stuff, like topics that everyone's talking about, that just seem to be placed there again for maybe SEO, bad spelling and grammar, especially if it's a law firm or like a professional services company. I'd be less inclined to think that was a professional establishment. But I don't know, so it's a big rant, but I don't know what I would look for apart from misalignment and maybe, like some some low res images that would detract me from the visuals. Like what things like hover states, like are they out? Are they in? Do they matter? Like what are those little aesthetic
consistency
touches?
matters.
Yeah, okay.
So for hover states and buttons and the layout, everything you're talking about is right. It's really important because the moment you notice that the user experience isn't natural or in the best way that it could be, you lose that trust every step.
Yeah.
Every time you click a button and it doesn't link to the right page, you've almost lost that trust.
Yeah.
Because how can I pay for this subscription if the buttons on the marketing website aren't working?
Oh, so true. Especially when you're talking like SaaS, like software type stuff, right? Like if the website itself looks crappy, then how can their software that you're subscribing to
you can talk to the sales team. It's so hard for them to sell the product to a prospect if the website isn't at that level that the product is.
That is so true. I often wonder, with companies that are not doing that well, but they haven't invested in really top-notch visuals. And that's often the case, right? Like you get, like, I'm going to go back to like a tech company again, and, they've got a software that they're selling under that SaaS, self-subscribe model. And you look and you realize that, maybe a marketer like myself who's not got a design background but can get away with it most times has done something in Canva and stuck it up there, and it's like a little video that's combining how you use the product, but it just doesn't land well. And then I wonder how much impact that has on people actually purchasing, because it'd be great to have stats on this, hey, because to say,
usually we just perform an A/B test.
Yeah.
So on one particular thing, so in this case it'd be for that particular video. So we'd have one page, send 50% to that video and then 50% to another one.
Totally.
And then you can see the results straight away. So we only test one area at a time.
Totally. And because, you would be doing that from a design background, it would look so much more polished, I guess, is also what I'm saying, like as opposed to if it were like a me marketer or a one-person marketer who's doing these like visuals for a website for a tech company, for example, and like, this is again kind of leaning on a real life example indirectly. But I do think like it makes a huge difference having a real professional designer do those, or like an in-house, designer, product designer, designer who's doing those visuals to actually provide those visuals for the website, because otherwise what product are you actually purchasing?
Yeah, it really depends on your budget as well, or the size of the business, where the business is at. So where you want to invest in design. Yeah. Design is often always seen as an investment because it costs money.
Yeah.
But really, what is it costing you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, that's not quantified enough. And it is hard to quantify, but the A/B testing, of course, is one way to look at it. But yeah, I mean, spelling, hey? That's the other side of it. Yeah.
All of it is so relevant. Like when you go to a restaurant and it's got like nice looking aesthetics and everything, do you want to go in, or if there's like all this junk all over the place, do you feel like, it's not safe to eat there? And then when you're inside, if there's all this clutter on the table, how do you feel when you're sitting down? Like, do you want to sit down at a clean table first, and then do you have a better experience while you're having a meal there? Or like that clutter table where you move everything off to the side, do you feel a bit gross? It's like that, I guess, with website design and content and all that stuff. It's like that user experience.
But that's if you have the budget, right? What if you were referred to by a friend? This restaurant looks a bit dodgy, but the food is amazing. Wouldn't you go for that restaurant over the aesthetic one? Because it's been recommended. So. Yeah, but then some products and some brands.
There's a different layer to that, though, with a referral, right? Like, that's a whole different part of the experience.
It's true. And then that sort of leans into the whole topic of like how important is content marketing, and like where do you put it in the strategy? I mean, of course, we've heard a million times probably content is king, For a lot of businesses it is, but like in your example where a product outsells or actually is so highly referred, that the content...
It's more important. That's why the design doesn't need to be as important.
Yeah.
You can use the allocation for the design resources to something more impactful for the business, such as working on decks.
Yeah.
Because they can bring in the new customers because you've already got the referrals.
And you've actually just reminded me of something that I noticed about 6 months ago. So I was driving down the David Low Way, and there was a giant sign, outdoor advertising, and it was for a very well-known local restaurant on the coast, right? It was a horrendous ad. Like, I wasn't the only one who said this. I had other marketers and content people said, "Oh, did you see that, ad?" And we started having this conversation in-house in terms of what would you say to that restaurant to try and pitch doing a different advertisement? Like, because this was such a well-known restaurant, they may easily say, what doesn't really matter to us, how good our content is. So what we came up with, and truly do believe, is that it can be really detrimental to your brand. So you could be a really well-established brand, but if someone sees that advertisement, they might actually question your brand and think it's not a great brand, or maybe you're running out of money even if you've got an ad like that. So it's like, on the flip side, to what extent does bad content actually damage a brand, even if it doesn't really rely on content, So, yeah, it's just a random little tidbit of this. Yeah. So I think, I guess in terms of quality of content marketing for you guys, like, what are the main focus points for you? Like, what are the most important things for you guys when you look at content? In terms of the quality?
Yeah, I think 2 things. The clarity of the content, so succinct, makes sense, so it's breaking down to simple terms. And the second is knowledge of the audience. Like, is the content actually speaking to me? Does it know what my problems are?
Yeah.
I'll skip it if it doesn't relate to me, but I'll stop scrolling.
Yeah.
If I think, oh, this person knows what I'm going through and they might be able to help me.
That is so
part of the click and scroll.
Okay, I am a self-confessed, I'm very obsessed with grammar and spelling and stuff, so that does matter to me subjectively. But the other thing that matters is the needs being fronted, not the product. So what I mean by that is good content marketing to me really talks about the needs of the prospective audience first. So like addressing what their pain points might be in the copy, fronting that, and then talking about the solution. It seems so obvious, but there has been a shift in the last few years, people really waking up to that. But that sell thing has died down, but I still see it a lot. So yeah, I think that's probably one of the first things that I try to change. If I notice a client's copy has been written like that, I go, okay, we need to flip that straight up. Yeah. So if, by way of example, somebody's selling, I don't know why I'm thinking of this, but dental services. It's not about, come to the Sunshine Coast's best local dental service thing. It's, have you been feeling self-conscious about your smile lately?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not as direct as that, but that should come first. Always.
I guess like the difference between good content and bad content is based on what are your values as a brand. One of your values is to be user-focused, then the more user-focused your content is, the more good your content naturally is, because it's more appealing to your audience. And like a website that's maybe a little bit boring and like not too overly designed could really work well for like whoever your audience might be. That's something they might appreciate, is this really like not bouncing around all over the screen creatives with, you remember the back in the day that you used to be that little paperclip? I think it was the copy tool, like that little fella that would pop up on the screen and everything.
I love Clip Art.
Yeah.
It was the precursor to Canva.
I guess it comes down to like how much of an inbound marketing strategy are you taking?
Yeah.
Like, are you being a user of the internet and brands and stuff? If I'm in the awareness stage or the decision stage or even the consideration stage, if I feel like they're not talking to me and they're not talking to me when I'm in the right stage, it's a little bit off-putting.
Totally.
So I think it's all just about knowing your customer, mapping it out,
Yeah.
And making sure you're putting them and their needs first.
Yeah.
Because, it's all of that inbound marketing strategy, really.
It is. I think that's really important to highlight, is that it comes down to, how much it's an inbound strategy. So, yeah. So I guess I agree with you guys on, everything that you said, but like, I want to know, like, does spelling have to be bang on or not? Yes or no?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would say so. I'd say spelling design, it's important. Because otherwise, if I'm living here in Australia and they spell it C-O for Lima, O-R instead of the U, then I'm like, well, you don't know me because you just use American spelling for the words.
Okay, so you're in my camp on this.
Yeah, I'll back it up.
I mean, this is just a side note, but yeah.
I agree.
Yeah? Okay. Yeah. I'm glad we settled that. This is really good.
I feel like maybe this whole podcast you were just looking for some validation, and we were just talking about marketing and you're like, no guys, does spelling matter?
Look, I cloaked it in quality of content marketing, but let's be honest, I just need to talk.
It's part of quality QA.
Yeah,
right?
It's
just
really important.
Some standards that you set.
Well, and I guess finally, I always struggle to know what is the best way to manage quality in an agency, I know it's very hard sometimes for certain personalities to give direct feedback. I feel like probably you're really good at that because you're really good with direct communication. But, when you're working with other people or you're partnering with other people, looking over each other's work and not micromanaging, finding that balance, but maintaining that quality, I always find that is...
I think it goes back to some positive reinforcement. Yeah. So highlight what's working and then just... nicely say what could be improved. But it's just apt and how you approach things, right? As a leader or manager.
See, I really feel like the way that I've approached it, and I totally agree with you, is that I always say, even if you're a manager, that it's important somebody reviews your work as well. So I always say this is like a mutual review system. So I'll review your work, you review my work. And I found that's the best way. And look, it's quite humbling because, I can sit up on my high horse and say spelling this and that, and then oftentimes someone will find mistakes that I've made, and it's really valuable for me as well. So I think as a team, that's the easiest way, right? And it avoids being micromanaging. But still, there are instances where you need to give direct feedback, and it's sometimes quite uncomfortable as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah.
Massively.
Yeah, I think with direct feedback and communication, the more you make it direct, and then the more comfortable and safe the space is, the more you can really give that.
Yeah.
And it just takes time.
Yeah.
I think that's why the relationship needs to be a little bit longer than just something short, just so you can understand everyone's needs and styles of working.
Yeah. And I agree, and I don't know about you guys, but one thing that I found really useful is setting those standards up front so that there's no room to feel like you're being personally attacked in that feedback process to maintain quality as an agency. So, for example, I always have lists. So, for a blog, I have a list of all the things that need to be ticked off from, best practices with the headlines and meta description, so you're covering off the SEO aspects, to the spelling and grammar, backlinking type aspects and all of that. And also image resolution, any of the things that you need to do to make sure that this blog is quality before it gets published. And I think, again, I'm such a structured person, so that's a typical response from me. But I find that really good because if somebody doesn't meet that expectation, it's very easy to say, hey, did you actually go through this list because you did miss this? And then you're not feeling personally attacked. You know what the standard is, and you can say, okay, next time I'll do better. I'll just make sure I use that checklist, more thoroughly.
Yeah. A bit of structure and guidance to it.
Yeah, I love that structure.
Yeah, you go nuts with structure. And it's actually really funny because the three of us are very different with how we work with structure and that. So, but I don't know, Christine, what's your take on that, going through a process of...
Yeah, I think a bit of structure is really great too. And so often in web development and design, we have a QA process. So we have similar to that checklist too, where we review each other's work. Yeah, and so giving feedback, receiving feedback is just so part of the process that we don't take any offense to it. It's just, this is it. And then we work through all the problems together, and we try to refine that process as well, because the QA process is a big step of the process as well.
It's true. And I think, when you're looking at attention to detail, and for you, that's hectically important, right? I know, like when I've worked with in collaboration with design teams on website projects, and the client has their, like, say, first review of feedback, if we go back and those changes aren't all implemented, they get pretty shitty with us. It just shows like a lack of attention to detail. I can imagine, like, you probably have a lot of lists and things, right? I don't know if that's your approach, but that's how the designers I worked with on some of these web projects did it, because you lose track easily. And I don't know, it depends on the client gives feedback too, because if they give it in email trails and bits and pieces here and there, obviously you ask them not to, but if that has been part of the journey at a certain point in time, it falls on you if you don't implement them at the end of the day. So it's like,
it's the system that you set up.
Yeah, so the system is really important, isn't it? Yeah. Are you a list person, or how do you
I prefer a system over a list, because I think every client or every project can vary.
Yeah.
So the list would almost be in my head.
Yeah.
But yes, the system sets up the structure. So if the flow operationally it works for you, then that's probably the way that I'd go with it.
Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah, cool. I love this.
What's your system, Soph?
Yeah, so my system is setting the expectations really early in terms of what the reviews will be like and how I like the reviews to be communicated from the client. Getting all of the assets and everything centralized in one place. So I have, you know, all of the content in a really nice file structure. I do have lists because my sort of work is less design. So it's, you know, for example, checklist of things I need to make sure with the digital ad are set up correctly. Like, have I done the pixel? Have I done this? Have I done tick that all off? So I have a lot of lists to keep myself and whoever I'm working with accountable, so that we don't, so no stone is left unturned. And then, in terms of the reviews, I really, really try to say up front, make sure that all the information that you give us and all the review is in the one spot. So I like using like a Notion board or something like that if someone has a different preference, and just setting that up with the client first. But I also say I don't force that on clients. Like, if a client doesn't want to use Notion or one of those tools, then I've also moved to Streamtime recently, but if they don't like using Streamtime or Notion, then if they want to use emails, we just have to agree how we use email. So topics, you know, we need to make sure that we don't send off 60 different emails. We keep the same email chain, for example. All that kind of stuff. It's all important in the kickoff, really, to set it up.
Because it's important that it goes both ways, that you're both happy with the system and the way you communicate. Because otherwise, one of you is hurting if there's a massive like imbalance between the two. Totally. So it is important to have that.
Totally. And I think at the end of the day, I guess what we're saying is all of these little bits and pieces, that is what supports
the sum of all its parts.
Yeah, that's how you create quality content.
Yeah. Very nice way to wrap it up.